All right, there is a new scholarship, and I know you're interested in this new one. It's in Brazil. And whatever it is you think about Brazil, this scholarship is amazing. First, let's talk about three interesting things about Brazil. Do you know Brazil is home to over 210 million people? And Brazil is beautiful. Second, Brazil is the largest country in South America and is the fifth largest in the world. So Brazil is a great country. But more than that, there is currently 850 scholarships. Sorry, more than 850. It's 880 scholarships. 880 scholarships for master's and doctorate study offered by 60 leading universities in Brazil. 880. And you watching this video, just put your name there so you can be one of these 880. But what does this scholarship really cover? Well, let me tell you some of them. The first thing is that it covers full tuition. So your tuition is paid for. You don't have to think about that. You also don't have to pay for application fee, which means if you decide to submit the application today, tomorrow, or even next week to submit a strong application, you would not pay any application fee, which is good news. So please submit this application, whether you think you're ready, prepared, or not. But that's not all. It also provides free accommodation. And I think I like that fact. So you don't have to think of, when I get to Brazil, where am I going to live? But because you've got free accommodation. But not just free accommodation. If you're someone like me, I love food. You get free Brazilian cuisine. So you get to eat a lot. Of course, there will be international dishes, I think, but you get free meal. And you also get free Portuguese language course. You know, it's Brazil. The official language there is Portuguese, and you need to speak the official language to integrate in the environment. So you get a free Portuguese language course. This does not mean you need to speak Portuguese before traveling to Brazil. Just saying. And once again, it's 880 scholarships from 60 leading universities in Brazil. And I think this is really amazing, and I think you should consider it. If you're meeting me for the first time, everyone, my name is Brendo. I am a doctoral student here at the University of Strathclyde in Glasgow, Scotland, United Kingdom, and I received full funding for my program. And that helped me to see that you don't have to be the best. You just have to be intentional, deliberate in your application process. You have to be strategic. And if you put in everything, if you put in the right effort. If you submit a strong application, you can secure fully funded scholarships. And I've also had one-to-one session with some scholarship applicants. For example, I met Yetunde from Nigeria, and it was a good session. Our first session was amazing. In fact, we had the second session some days ago, and now she's on track to submit a strong scholarship application. I've also with Lame in Botswana, who is preparing for his PhD application, and now he has a clearer path for successful application. So if you think you need a one-to-one section, there's a link in the description and then we can discuss. Let's now talk about the video or the guide for this scholarship. But to do that, I also want to make you aware there is a document attached to this scholarship and it's 14 page long. You don't have to read it. I've read it. I've highlighted some section because I want to make it as easy and simple as possible. But I also want to be sure everything is done diligently because what we want to do is to be strategic in our application process and we want to submit a strong application. And if you want to go to Brazil for this scholarship, yes, you can be sure that if you submit a strong application, you can be among the 880. Remember, it is competitive, very competitive. So if you have a one-to-one session, I could tell you some things that would make your work stand out. But for now, let's look at the scholarship. So here we here we have the fourth edition of the GCUB International Mobility Program. This is the fourth edition. Evidently, there have been a first, second, third, and this is the fourth edition for 2025. And now there is call for application for the scholarship. I'm going to leave a link to this site on the description, in the description. So if you check the description, you'll find the link, the direct link to this. All right. And if you read up on this part, which I would advise you to do, it just gives you an overview of the scholarship program. And remember, like I said, the deadline is July 13th, but you don't want to wait until July 13th to submit this application. I think it's mentioned somewhere. Okay, I think here. Applicants are strongly advised not to wait until the last day to submit the applications, as the system may become overloaded and unable to receive submission and the body is not responsible for application not received due to technical issues related to computer malfunction and all this stuff. And then there is a recommendation of browsers you could use, such as Chrome, Firefox, and Safari. And like I mentioned at the outset of the video, there is no application fee And here is a call for application. This is another link, and then this is the application form. So we're going to look at this step by step. But first, like I said, there is a document that we need to consider. And like I said, I've read the 14-page long document, so you don't have to. This is the call for application. Now, why do we need to read this document? Because there's some tips in the document, and you don't have to read it. I will just do a quick summary of it, of the areas I've highlighted. So yes, you receive monthly stipend. So that's the first thing I noted in the document. And it's for master's and doctoral programs in Brazil scheduled to begin in 2026. So no, you're not starting in 2025, you're starting in 2026. And all selected candidates must demonstrate at least an intermediate level of Portuguese. But look, this is before the defense of your thesis or dissertation. So if you're going to be there for 2 years before the end of your program, or if you're going to be there for 4 years for your PhD before the end of your program, you should be able to demonstrate a moderate or intermediate level of Portuguese. That shouldn't be a worry now. You should figure it out. And for master's program is up to 24 months, for doctoral programs up to 48 months, which is 4 years. The duration of support, if we just keep scrolling down, just trying to see if there's any other thing I highlighted. Now, it says each candidate can enroll in up to 5 master's or doctorate program. So, which means you can select up to 5 universities, up to 5 programs, either for master's or for doctoral. So, if you're looking for a PhD, you can submit PhD application for 5. It's just one application, but you could select 5 universities or 5 programs. If you're looking for masters, 5 applications, or sorry, one application, but 5 choice of universities or 5 programs. That's another cool stuff I noticed. And yes, this is why I said you need to watch this part. We need to look at this document. So if you will be submitting 2 essays, it's in this document I found the document requirements. How should you look at specification for how the specification for the document, the font sizes, and it means if you do not check this and you simply submit a research proposal or you write the 2 essays and it doesn't meet this, you will be automatically disqualified for something as little as this, even when you have a strong application. So the specification is font should be Times New Roman, the size should be 12, the line spaces should be 1.5 centimeter, and margins top, bottom, right, and left 2.5 centimeter each. If you use Microsoft Word or Google Docs, you should know how to do this. If you don't know how to do this, please leave a comment in the leave a question in the comment section, and I will look for a guide online for you to do that. Now, for essay content, you would write 2 essays. The first one is academic expectation and interest, and the second one is a research proposal containing a maximum of 4,000 words. We should cover these 5 parts. If you're looking for a guide on how to write a research proposal, I've got a video that talks about how to write a research proposal. So please check that video on my page. Now, there's also another part for university professors, but we are not looking for that. Now, for the research proposal presented in Essay 2, it serves as an evaluation instrument. Basically, what that means is you're getting the scholarship is also contingent or it's also dependent on your proposal. So, which means you need to submit a strong research proposal. If you need a one-to-one guide on how to write a research proposal, or if you want me to look at your research proposal, you can book a one-to-one session with me and then we can do that. Remember, applications are free and they're personal and they're made electronically, so you don't have to send it by post. If the candidate submits more than one application, all applications from that particular participant will be withdrawn or automatically disqualified. So please do not do that. The application process, there are many stages, and all the stages are eliminatory. The first stage is document consistency analysis. So all your documents should have the same name, the same date of birth, and of course, if you have incomplete documentation, it will be removed. It will be disqualified. The second stage is analysis of merit and admissibility. That basically means, are you qualified for this program? So there are many programs in the university, so you could check the university. I will show you a link to the university in a moment. So we're looking for universities would select 4 times higher than the number of vacancies offered, and then they will do the sifting. And it is done without prejudice to academic merit. And I found this really cool. It is done without prejudice to countries of origin and without prejudice, as long as your country has good standing with Brazil. I mean, If you have good country, good national relationship with Brazil, that's fine. And then without prejudice to academic merit, that is good. The third phase is the final collection, and that is done by the advisory committee. So you don't have to bother about that part. Is there anything I think is worthy of note? I don't think so. But I think you might have to do legalization of documents. So you might want to read up these documents. It's found there on the portal too. But if you need a link to it, you can also let me know. I can just share this one. And these are the list of universities, 60 universities, but I'm just going to, I've downloaded it so I can look at them one after the other. So, these are the 60 universities. You find them here. I do not speak Portuguese and I do not want to mispronounce, but this should be Amazonas, and this is Universidade do Estado do Amazonas. I do not know what it means, but something about University of Estado do Amazon. I do not know, but these are the 60 universities. You find them on this list, 1 to 60, and you find the programs from each university. So it's not hurtful to just simply check this and check the English translation and then look for the program you want to. Or you can click the link, it takes you to the school website and you translate it to English. So select your program of choice, select your universities, five programs. I would actually recommend that. Five separate universities, five programs. And for choice of universities, you might want to go for the ones that you think people would not really go for. I mean, if you go for the universities in Rio de Janeiro, which is the capital, I think it's the capital. I'm not so sure. My apologies. But if you go to very popular universities, you know the competition will be very, very high. So you might want to go for those that, you know, it's not as competitive as Rio de Janeiro. Okay, so that is now covered. What else do we need to do? Now, how do we go about the application? And this is another part I think you want to pay attention to. So if you come here in the original document and click for call for application, it takes you there. It brings you here for call for application. And then it says you must register for your application in this form. So it has to be here. There is no other place you could do it. It's here and it's online. So once you click on this, it brings you to this application form. And in the application form, there are 6 stages. Okay. I have put in an imaginary name here or imaginary details just for the purpose of this application. So imaginary name or imaginary details. Now let's look at them. So the imaginary name here is John Smith. So none of the details here are mine because I would not be submitting the application anyways. All right, so the first stage will ask you is name, last name, sex, country of origin, country of residence, full address, date of birth, and other details. So you put in the details, including your passport ID, upload a copy of your ID and the details. And after all of these, remember this one in here. If you submit more than one application, it will be removed from the system and the applicant will be automatically disqualified. So if you put all of these details, which is personal information, the next stage is language fluency. Don't worry, nobody's asking you to, no one is asking you to list 6 fluent languages. But ideally, there are 6 languages here: English, French, Spanish, German, Italian, and Portuguese. If you speak all 6, great for you. But nobody's asking you degree of fluency. Personally, I speak English and fluent and French, and I'm fluent in both. I don't speak any other international language, but I speak African languages. But English and French are the only ones here I selected. And that you come to third, higher education. So here you upload a diploma, certificate of completion of university studies carried out for undergraduates. So you pick one here. If you have a diploma for master's, you put it here. If you have one for PhD, you put it here. And here you put your academic transcript. It says attach only the academic transcript of the highest level completed. So if you're looking for master's, you need to attach the transcript of your bachelor's. If you're looking for doctorate, you attach the transcript of your master's. So just that. And if you're looking for postdoc, well, you need to attach the transcript. I don't think you need transcript for that anyways. All right, so that is that. And once you put in all of these, you click on this box, this wee box here. Sorry, not wee box, that's Glaswegian. To attest that you have not received the scholarship in Brazil for the same level of degree you're applying for, and then you click on next, which takes you to stage 4. Now, stage 4 is professional information. What's your profession? What's your occupation? The name of the university or place you work for, admission dates, stuff like that. Now, this question is, are you a professor in a higher education institution? Now, the concept of professor is different from university to university. In America, somebody can be called a professor even though they're a secondary school teacher. Um, so professors mainly would be a lecturer. In this case, in terms of Brazil, Professor here means a university lecturer, not necessarily a professor in the sense of British, but professor in the sense that you're a university lecturer. So if you are a lecturer in the university, you're one of those being asked if you're a professor here, and you can state your institution and then give description of your roles and responsibilities. Otherwise, you can just leave it blank. And your CV, you then submit a CV. But please, in regard to submitting a CV, you might need to really look at your CV and make sure you submit a strong CV. There's a video also on my channel on how to design a Europa CV. A Europa CV is accepted anywhere in the world, so you can design a Europa CV and submit that. Make sure your CV stands out. You should project your awards, your publication, your experiences, your degrees, your programs, and there should be a brief description. So your CV should stand out. And ideally, if you can have a CV of 1 page, cool. But if you can't have it for 1 page, 2 pages should do. 2 pages should suffice. If you still need a one-to-one guide to write or draft a CV, you can also hit me up in the calendar. For university professors, proof of affiliation within a higher education, we are applicable, and then you can do this. Now, after that, we then go to stage 5, which I think is the most important part in the application process. Now you can apply to up to 5 universities from different regions of Brazil. So different region. Remember, I said there are 60. So from different regions you can apply. And what is required? SA1 and SA2. Attenzione. Okay, good. What does SA1 include? Well, academic expectation and interest, professional expectation, prospect upon return to the country of origin. That is to say, in this case, you come in here to study, and after your study, you return to your home country. So tell us, what are your academic expectations and interests? What are your professional expectations? How would this contribute to your career? How would this lead to career development? How do you plan to use this in your home country? That's another thing to consider. And this is an essay of maximum 1,000 words. So you don't need to write up to 1,000 words. You don't have to write up to 1,000 words. So if you've written something like about between 900 or 800 to 1,000, that's great. Essay 2 must include justification for your selected program. Why that program? The central theme and research problem, delimitation and justification of the object of study, your literature review, methodology approach, timeline, bibliography reference, basically the whole component of a research proposal. So once again, that is how you write a that is an example of a research proposal, basically. And like I said, these are the things that would make your work stand out. Your proposal, your CV, and of course, things like your transcript and all the things. So please, even if you graduated with the first class, even though you graduated with the second, you've seen the things we looked about in the document. There will be no discrimination. There will be no discrimination in this case to academic merit or qualifications and things like that. So please submit a strong application. Anything you could use to beef up your CV, do it before you the application deadline. And but of course, be honest because many of these things will be verified. And here you select your top 5 universities of the 5 universities. Here you find the list where you can just pick them. But remember, before you come here to pick them, you must have looked at this document to see the programs and the one you want to pick. Okay, so you pick the program, the university, you select the program SA1, SA2. The second one, university program SA1, SA2. So you see, you have to do that for the 5 of them, which means but please, you remember this takes time. You know this takes time. It takes time. But you can do it. So don't think of submitting the whole application or applying for this in one day. It's something you could take time. So after today's video, please, after watching this video, or if you've watched the video to this point, let's do that. So if you watched the video to this point, I really appreciate it. It means that you're really interested in this scholarship and you actually follow the video. So if you've seen the video up to this point, could you just say something like, let's use something like GCUB. So just simply type GCUB on the comment section, and I'll be very grateful to know that you've watched it to this point. Now let's make progress. Now, it means you could decide, for example, today or tomorrow, that the first thing I want to do is to write an essay 1 and essay 2 for this first program. Write an essay 1 and 2 for the second program the next day. So that you have to do at least one a day so that when it's time for the application, you have all the documents ready. If you do everything in one day, you might not give it your best. All I'm saying is you have to submit your best application. Like you have to be strategic, be intentional, and intentionality means writing good essay for all five of them. Write good essays for all five of them. Please write good essays for all five of them, and you can secure the scholarship because I really want you to secure the scholarship, and I know you can do it. If you've seen this video to this point, I know you definitely can do it. You have what it takes, then go for it. Please go for it. And when you submit this, remember if you need any help or guidance or one-to-one, just hit me up. I'm available. Okay. And finally, after all of this, then the stage six. Nothing else. Before submitting the form, make sure you've attached all the documents required for the application. And this is your first application and this call. You select yes, and you attest to be in good physical and mental health and fully capable of undertaking postgraduate studies. And my friends, this is where you click send, and that is you there, done in the application process. So, what have we discussed so far? Well, we've talked about Brazilian scholarship. We've talked about the amazing things about Brazil. But now we've also seen that you've got free application. And by reviewing that particular document, we've seen that, well, there are good things. So a lot of people will write this essay one and essay two. And I can tell you for a fact, many people would not look at the document, and many would not even see in those areas about the specification or the document, and they'll be disqualified for that. But you would, because you've seen this video and you submit a strong application and you get the scholarship, and we'll both be happy. Anyways, that's about that. So thank you once again for watching up to this point, and all the best in your scholarship pursuit.